The book 21st Century Youth Ministry 5 Views is an idea I came up with not that long ago in order to get the conversation out into the youth ministry field that's going on all over the country and actually all over the world. The idea came from a book that came out in 2000 called 4 Views of Youth Ministry in the Church that I happen to be one of the 4 authors of that. And as we wrote that book, evidently a lot of people appreciated the chance to talk about different angles we take on what youth ministry is. That book was a great book. It's still being used in colleges and seminaries today. Handed us as authors this idea that we want you to come from this perspective within this kind of box. And so it was a little bit of an artificial conversation because they gave me evangelism as a view, and yet I wanted to take pieces from other places for my actual view. So people would kind of say, I didn't think you believed what you wrote there. And I said, well, I kind of did, but it wasn't as organic as I would have necessarily liked. I liked the book a lot for what it did. So this new book was an idea that was primarily spawned because I've been working on this notion of adoptive youth ministry as the foundation of what youth ministry is for the future. And yet there's a lot of people that have different views, and we're not all talking together anymore. So we pulled together 5 different leaders, and we had these leaders actually not have any parameters at all. I didn't tell any of them what to write or the box within which they had to stay. I said, write whatever it is you want about what is your view of the way to do youth ministry, theologically, pragmatically, structurally. And then one person would write, and then the other 4 would basically argue with that one person's position, and then that original person would be able to give a rejoinder at the end of that. So that's what the book is. It's this position, 4 kind of rejoinders, and then a final statement by the person who wrote the position, these 5 views. Greg Steer from Dare to Share did his on the gospel advancing view. Ron Hunter, who's the head of D6 Ministries from Deuteronomy 6, where the church kind of partners with parents, and it's really a parent-oriented view of youth ministry that partners with the church. And then Fred Arzola from NIAC, he did a great job in the ecclesial view to go through the idea of the practices of the church is how we ought to ground youth ministry. And then Brian Cosby wrote what's called the Reformed view of youth ministry, which my holiness friends find hysterical, but he talks about things like the practices of the church, especially in the sacraments, is the essence, the place where God works the most. And then I did the adoptive view of youth ministry, which is the church is called to be a family of siblings who are all orphaned, and in Christ we've all been adopted by the King. So we argue with each other. So the book is really trying to help the average person that's thinking about youth ministry, that goes about their business, doing small groups and mission trips and everything else they're doing, in order to be able to look at some of the various different ways others look at youth ministry, and then be able to bring other views into the mix, and to figure out what is their foundational theological view of what it is we're doing in youth ministry. I hope, and it has already, continues a great conversation in youth ministry of why we do what we do. It's called 21st Century Youth Ministry 5 Views.